Has been teaching for 20 years, which includes New York University, Ohio University, as a private voice coach and a coaching studio, and is currently with the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville. And I will let him tell you a little bit more about what he does up there. So would you please welcome Mr. Jason Burrows and Warm-Ups That Work.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? And Matt, please remind me, I have until, is it 45 minutes? Is that right?
You have until 10 o'clock. You have a full hour, but you can
Come
do
on
some
now.
Q&A if you need to.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a Q&A. Rachel, I thought you did so well. Rachel and I have known each other since the 1900s, y'all. We have known each other for some years. We have been best friends since the 1900s, and she's the best. And my kids are in her children's choir at the U of A, and it's amazing to watch her in person and over Zoom. It's just so good. Anyway, okay, so good morning. I've got a little morning voice. We'll have a little phlegm clearing session in a moment. A little joint phlegm clearing. Okay, I'm gonna try to share this here screen, and I've tested it about 3,000 times, so it should work. That, and then I go over here and hit presenter view. Can you see just the slide and not my notes? That's what I want you to see. Blessings abound. Hang on, I want to see. Okay, your faces are at the bottom. I'm all about that. So this is Warm-Ups That Work. It's and I think the best way to do that is functional training. So I have to say at the beginning of this, it's not going to be about COVID. I'm not going to do this in a version of a pandemic of how to do this. I'm just going to do it for real. And of course, we know that, like, we're singing behind masks right now. We're singing for 15 minutes here, and we're singing for 30 minutes there, and we're spinning around and letting the air clear and, like, doing all those things. I think it will absolutely still work. I'm just not addressing that directly. I have to say I'm really super honored to do this. I'm from Arkansas originally, and I think very highly of Arkansas teachers. My mom was one, and so I'm really honored to be here, and I just want to be of service of any kind. If I can help in any way and pass on knowledge or ideas or anything. So I think we're doing questions. I think just questions in the chat are fine with me for later, and then also I'm happy hearing live questions. So if you just want to jot them down, we can hear them at the end live, and I've left some time at the end. So let's start with a little bit of who am I? So one of my gigs is I'm a music director for theater. I play the piano and I teach vocals. It's like a choir director for theater. If you haven't done one of those theater shows, that's what I do, and that means I play the piano in the pit and I teach all the vocals and I do that. I am a piano player. I accompany a lot of singers and a lot of choirs, and I play in a lot of pits, and I play with orchestras sometimes. One of the coolest ones I get to do is when the orchestra up here, the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas, does every October until this one, they did Harry Potter in concert, where they show the movie on the big screen and the orchestra plays, and I get to literally play like I get to play the Harry Potter theme on the keyboard, and it's super geeky because I like Harry Potter. I teach at the U of A, and I used to teach at New York University when I lived up there. I am in the theater department at the U of A, not the music department, but I'm really lucky to get to play in the sandbox with Stephen Caldwell and Jeffrey Murdoch over there. They are super great collaborators, and we get to they are very generous and invite me over to, I don't know, just sing and play and watch and do things. So I'm lucky with that. I am a singer. I grew up singing in choir and kept on doing that. Singing was always maybe not the most clear thing to me, which I think led me down this path, I had to learn more about it, because it was invisible to me. It was mythology. It was smoke and mirrors. And I was like, that sounds good. Sure, I'll do that. But what's actually happening in my throat? And it kind of bothered me that I didn't know, so I went and found out. And so I'm going to pass on some of that today. While I was in New York, I sang in church choirs and professional paid choirs and whatever. I am still a member of a gospel choir in New York City called the Broadway Inspirational Voices, and I highly suggest you look them up on YouTube. It's a gospel choir made up of actors and music directors and singers from the Broadway and the theater community, and It is a nonprofit, and we put programs back in schools where where the arts have been canceled. We partner with Ronald McDonald House and write songs about the kids who are going through these treatments. It's a cool choir. Go look it up. Broadway Inspirational Voices. I am, like I said, I'm originally from Arkansas. I grew up in a really little bitty town called Augusta, Arkansas. And then I went to high school in Searcy, Arkansas, near Little Rock. And then I came to U of A for college. I went to Ohio University for grad school. I lived in New York for a lot of years and taught private voice there and taught in the musical theater studio at NYU in Tisch. And now I'm back here in the theater department as the musical theater guy in the theater department. So that's me. So we're going to warm up. Let's do it. Just to kind of, it'll be like a little 5-minute warm up. You can stay muted and just sing along with me so we can kind of experience this together. So get yourselves ready. Sit tall, stand tall, do your thing. I don't even know. So we're going to start with an E vowel, just a neutral E in a medium volume. And I find the volume thing is so crucial in the group, because when I sing in a group, I just want to yell. I just want to hear myself, so I end up pushing, right? So we're going to do up and down twice like this. It's going to go E, and I'll sing and play, and you can sing along, and I know that's weird over Zoom, but here we go. E, and be really messy for right now, just an E. Just like you're talking. Good. And I would go higher. I'm going to obviously make it shorter for us this morning. I would go a little higher, and then I come back down. Then I might do something like a staccato. I'm only going to do like 4 of these, and then we're going to talk a lot more, and then we'll talk about them at the end. But I thought it might be useful to see what I would do to start out a rehearsal. So let's do some staccatos on an arpeggio on an oo, like this. Still, we're going for a medium volume, a neutral oo. I'm not going for a bright ooh, and I'm not going for a dark ooh. I'm going for a neutral, speaky ooh, medium volume, low to high. Here we go. And I might go down a little bit. And I might tell them to take a big breath. And I might go back up one more. I'm letting the voice do whatever it wants to do. If I got up here and I was a boy, I might go I'm just going to let it roll out because I'm just like going for a walk. Great. Then I would do some head register. Let's do that together. Everybody up on these pitches together, the boys and the girls. That's not warm on me this morning. I need some of those. Let's do it again. Maybe on an E. And I would do a few of those, and we're just warming up that head register. And I would take the girls a little bit higher, and the boys can drop out when they need. But I'm not worried about going crazy high right now. Then I would hear some chest register. I would maybe do some staccatos down there. I'd go ah, 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 ah. So the guys are down there, and the girls are here. Ah, 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 ah. And it's nice and talky. We're just warming up. So let's do like 3 of those. Ah, 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 ah. Ah, 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 ah. We could do that legato. Ah. Again, it's like a medium volume, neutral ah, nothing special yet. We're just moving the machine around. I might do something next that's like a little bit mixier and do some nasty sounds. I might go nyan 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 nyan. And for me, I feel like I have one of those bull in a china shop voices, and I have to continually tell myself, like, not too loud, Jason, not too loud, like when I'm warming up, just to kind of get it going. After I do all of that, I typically will go back to the very first thing I did to see how that feels. And generally, hopefully, it's like, oh yeah, that feels smoother. That feels better, right? And I would go up and down a little bit. After that, I would start aiming my choir, my group, if I'm doing a musical, at the style, at where I want to go. Okay, so that was like the quick, down and dirty warm-up version. I just thought, let's see it, and now I'll talk all through that. So don't worry, like, oh my God, was that it? Like, okay, bye, it was great to see you. That was the warm-up. They work. Go for it. Okay, so now let's talk through. Is it gonna switch? Okay, there, let's chat. About voice science. Everyone's excited about voice science. I know I am. Okay, the first thing is, please warm up. Please. 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 Warm up. Please warm up your choir. This is a book that's really great if you wanna get it. I highly recommend it. It's called The Vocal Athlete. The way I constantly have to make myself think and make my students think is that I'm like a strength and conditioning coach. I'm like a coach for track. If your track students come into you and they are a pole vaulter and a hurdler, I know nothing about track, they don't ever come in and you go, okay, y'all, sorry, we're short on time, so can I just see you jump over that pole vault? But we do that with our choirs. And it's wrong, because we are in charge of their bodies. We're in charge of their muscles in here, and they can get hurt. So we have to take our time, at least a few minutes at the beginning, to do some warm up. I realize that's different in high school and college. It's different in choirs and musical theater land where I live. In the professional musical theater world, you come to rehearsal ready. In the professional choral world, you come to rehearsal ready. They're not going to warm you up, right? Excuse me, that's your job. You do that before you get here. But we're in school, right? In a college musical, I start rehearsals at the beginning of the process. We rehearse for about 5 or 6 weeks. I start by warming them up every day, and then I start to not, because I'm like, I have to teach them how to do it, and then let them practice coming in warm up, right? And so it will change with your ages, but I just think it's so important. It's also a focusing time. It's a time to put away the things that came before if you're in a class period situation, or if it's a professional choir, it's a way to put away, like, okay, I'm going to forget that my kid just melted down in my car with me, and I'm just going to go in here and warm up for a minute, and it's a centering time, right? The question is, which warm-ups do I do? Do I do what my voice teacher did, or do I do what my choir director did, or do I do the ones that I like to do? Like, what do I do? I found myself not knowing. I found myself repeating what had been done to me, but I did not know why, and I did not know what they actually did. So, what do I do those things? Or warm-ups based in function. So what is function? Vocal function is just how the machine works. So I find it the most useful to learn and to figure out how the human machine works, and then how do I best apply that to my students' voices, and then quickly get onto the work of the songs and the together work of that, right? Things can sound good and still be really bad for the throat. So we can't always just use the aural for it. We have to be kind of checking in on them. It's kind of like, again, my track analogy, which, forgive me if I'm messing up, I don't think I am, but my track analogy, like, go stretch something, go lift something, go work, take a walk before you jump over that hurdle today, right? But we get our students in here, we're like, okay, we only have 30 seconds, let's do this, and we're like having them sing high Q sharps and low Q sharps and like all this craziness at the very, very first without ever having them gone. I mean, if you're sitting in class, they're not allowed to talk before that. So this is the first time their voices have even been used that day, right? Also, when we talk about function and we learn about the science, it helps us avoid what I call vocal mythology and incorrect science. And I can tell you times in my life when I have used vocal mythology before I knew better, but it's the Maya Angelou quote, when you do best until you know better, then you do better. And I've always loved that, so let's do better. Me too. So let's start by thinking, what do I want my students' voices to be able to do? So these are things that every voice should be able to do, no matter the style. And I also realize that these are things that a professional voice can do. And you're like, great, Jason, I teach 6-year-olds. Okay, all right, so it's going to change for parameters of age, understandably. But, you know, a professional voice, we want them to have like an octave and a half to 3 octave range, something in there. We want them to have a range, right? We want them to have bright, neutral, and dark vowels, no matter the style. We need them to have everything. We want them to have a healthy head, mix, and chest. We're going to talk about those terms in a little bit, so don't worry about that. We want them to have a responsive support system. We want their breathing to be active and to be good. We want them to have loud and soft dynamics, and we want them to have pure vowels, you know, all of the good vowels, and we want them to be pure. When it's an ah at the bottom, I want it to be an ah at the top. And you know, it's so easy for that to like ah, and like ooh, that's not an ah at the top. Listen, you know, we want them to have pure vowels. It's just a little list of like, these are the goals I want my students' voices to do, right? So we want them to do this no matter the style. That way they can sing any style I throw at them. So we have to talk for a second about function versus style. Function is in the middle, in the yellow. It's the default. It's coming home to what your body actually wants to do. And I find there is some music out there that sings in the default, but not a lot. It's some of my favorite singing, actually. It's the singing I'm drawn to in musical theater, with like, it's just another day for another stolen hour, where the world will see my power and obey. It's talky, neutral. That's why I love musical theater, but I would never sing that way. And that's a little bit brighter than default also. I would never sing that way if I was going up into choral classical, right? I would go darker, warmer vowels. I would sing even further into the bright stuff if I went over to rock or pop and down to gospel R&B. And of course, these can all be split into amazingly different groups. I'm just kind of generalizing for right now. But I do want to emphasize this idea because I was taught by some amazing voice teachers and choir directors who did maybe present the idea that the way I sang in their classroom was default, and is nobody's default. That is a dark E vowel, and I want my choirs to be able to do that, but that's not the way the body is just built. The body is built chest on the bottom, head on top, it mixes through the middle. That's the way the body's built. Then I get to decide how I apply that to different styles. So I'm not suggesting not honoring the styles. I'm actually suggesting that all of them are to be respected. I don't really love it when the opera singers put out some jazz album and it sounds square and wrong. It's the wrong vowels. It just ain't right. I mean, I love when Aretha sang Nessun Dorma. I mean, I was here for that. But it was like a thing. She was doing a take on it, right? And unless you're going to do... There's a company called East Village Opera Company that does rock opera. Fine. You're choosing to say this is a thing, but you're not presenting it as valid. Here's one sticky one for me. Y'all want to get my hackles up. Have your choir sing a musical theater tune, but have them sing it like this, and I will come for you. Because that is not right. That is not that style, right? Because I wouldn't have them sing something choral in a wide, bright sound. We got to respect them all. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about voice stuff. So head, mix, and chest. I know I'm going fast. It's recorded, I think, and I'm going to send you my slides, so they'll send out the slides. This is just a quick overview. Head and chest are the dumbest words for this. They named them a few hundred years ago, and I understand why they named them, because we can kind of feel something in the head when head voice is happening, and we can kind of feel something in the chest, but they have nothing to do with that. Head register or head voice has nothing to do with the head, and chest register has nothing to do with the chest. They all happen right here at the vocal fold level. It's a mount of folds. So here, I drew this little thing, and it's kind of clunky, but I kind of like it. This is if you're looking at my neck straight on, this might be like my left fold and my right fold. When I'm in head register up here, when I'm in falsetto, just the little upper edges. Sometimes we use our hands to show this. Just the little upper edges are touching and vibrating against each other, right? And then in chest, down here, all of the fold is waving against each other and touching. And then in mix, it's a combination. I put the muscles up there just so you know. If we named them now knowing voice science, now having MRIs and having all the technology we have, we would probably call them TA and CT. TA is thyroarytenoid muscle, and that's the muscle that's most activated in chest register. And the cricothyroid muscle is the muscle that pulls and stretches, and it's the muscle most activated in head. You don't have to know that. It just like they are actually scientific terms. And then the mix involves both, like playing a sharing game because they have to go back. So when my folds are doing that, when I go ah, it's all of the folds meeting ah. I can even change that on one pitch. Maybe. Ah! I'm not saying that's a pretty sound. That's a chesty sound up high. But ah! Ah! Same note, but I'm using different registers, right? Okay. Let's see. I'm reading my notes over here. Mix is from the musical theater world. That's where we got that from, the Broadway world. A way that it can apply to choirs so well is, we're always going for a blend. And so often, like 99% of the time, the blend is about the registration. That alto sticking out, it's because she's in too much chest. She needs to lighten up a little bit and be a little headier, and she's not going to stick out anymore, right? So it helps us in functional things like blending. It also helps us codify language so that my students can go out in the real world and someone can reference this, and they're like, I know what that means, right? Okay, moving on. Here's a little image I drew to help me understand. These are my low notes. These are my high notes, like on a piano. And down here, it's all chest. And up here, it's all head. And then in the middle, it just switches back and forth like percentages. Ah. I can also ask for specialized things, like I did before. Ah. I can use a lot of chest on that note, and then I can use a lot of head on that note, because I can configure it differently, okay? It's also important for us to know, man, when I started studying this, I really jumped into this in 2013. And I remember going to a conference, and I was like, that sounds great. I was such a punk. I am a punk, but whatever. I raised my hand and was like, but what about for men? It's the same. It's the same for everybody. A larynx is a larynx is a larynx. It's actually really exciting that way. It's actually really freeing that way, because no matter your size or your color or your age or anything about you, all larynxes are just the same. I put the piano here to show that, like, let's pretend this is middle C on this busted piano, which I love. Everyone's break is right here. Everyone's voice goes from chest to head right here, around E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, somewhere, depending on the day, depending on the thing, right? Ah, that's middle C. That's where that break happens in everybody. I'm doing a little bit of at-home research with my kiddos, because I have a 9-year-old boy, he'll be 10 really soon, and a 6-year-old girl, and we're like the Von Trapps, we're all singing. And I always love to, like, where do their voices do that? Because I'm such a nerd. Where do their voices switch? And it obviously can be a little bit higher for kids, and then it'll drop down a little bit, but not much. It's basically the same in my at-home research. And it's really important for us to know these pitch parameters, that I know where it's appropriate for me to ask my sopranos to sing, my altos to sing, my tenors and my basses, so I know where their voices should turn over. Where does that normally happen? It's totally okay for the guys to be in a falsetto on this note, or whatever the case is, Okay, here's a fun video. And we're not going to watch the whole thing. It's from a friend of mine named Tylee Ross, and he sang in an MRI machine. And he sang the end of Nessun Dorma, and he's going to introduce himself. It's a super cheesy video, but it's really cool that we get to actually see it. It'll help us define some of the parts in here. So let's watch. This will play, right? Can you hear it?
In the MRI. Singing in the MRI. Singing in the MRI. Singing in the MRI. Hi, my name's Tylee Ross. I'm a singer, voice teacher, and vocalist in New York City. And using the magic of MRI technology, I want to show you what it looks like inside my head and neck while I'm singing. But first, let me warm up on a lip trill. How about a raspberry? Weird, right? Want to see that on an ooh vowel? Ooh. Now, before I go any further, let's try to figure out what it is we're actually seeing here. Let's go back inside and see if we can identify some of the features of the vocal tract. Lips, tongue. This difficult to control piece of anatomy is called the velum or the soft palate, but you can think of it as the nose gate. It opens and closes, controlling the flow of air and sound up into the nasal cavity. In most people, the velum is opening and closing constantly when we speak and sing, and we're barely even aware of it. Down here, we have the larynx, which houses the vocal folds. Now let's see what happens inside the vocal tract when we sing with contrasting singing strategies. I'm going to sing the end of Nessun Dorma, Puccini's great aria. I'm going to sing it in 4 different vocal styles. The first will be in a light mix. The second, in a forward-facing Broadway sound. The third, in a back and down operatic sound. And the fourth, in a style that will make Puccini roll in his grave, in a rock style. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. All'alba vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. What you're looking at here are comparative images of the...
So I'm going to pause it there. Is my mic still on? Okay, I think it's all right. The rest of the video is cool. It's on YouTube. Tyley Ross, Tyleyyross. I think the coolest parts about this video, and I use it all of the time with my students because I want them to see, the thing that always gets me is like, how big is the tongue? The tongue is so big, and right? It's so crazy, and all up under here, and I actually have my voice students massaged in there all the time, very gently, but just like, hey, ask that to let go, and I would do that with my choirs too. And then I love this idea over here that it's just showing that when we sing in different styles, the insides are going to look different. To make different sounds, the insides are going to look different. The larynx is not always going to be low. Like my voice teachers like to tell me, that's not true. It's not bad for the larynx to go up. It's bad if the larynx gets stuck up. It's bad if the larynx gets stuck down, right? We want freedom and mobility, right? So I love that. I love that video. Let's go on. Oh no. Okay, y'all. The next thing is the third rail of all of singing, and it is breathing. So I realize it's the scariest thing to touch, but we're gonna touch it just briefly. So here's a little bit of anatomy, and y'all, when I walked into my first voice lesson of college, and my teacher said, "Jason, where are your lungs?" I got it wrong. Let's just say that, right? I had plenty of science classes, and plenty of band and plenty of choir, and I did not know where my lungs were. And I was shocked to learn that they were very high in my body. I thought they were where my belly was. I thought they were way down here, and they're up here. Can you see my cursor move? Is that a thing? I think you can, yeah. So your lungs are super high up here. They are higher in the front than the back. They go a little bit lower in the back following the rib shape. But like if this, like we're under the guy's underarm right here, right? That line right there, that's like halfway of the lung. Right here is like halfway of my lung. So you can find your sternum and find your clavicle, and your lungs are right up here, right? The diaphragm's below that. It's this parachute-shaped muscle right here. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. The instructions I give, or the way we have to think about this, is just that when we sing, the ribs have to be up. We want them to be buoyant, right? We want this to feel shiny and radiating. We do not want it to be shoved out front and with our shoulder blades locked in the back. Everything's just right in the middle. I often have them do the old school opera singer hands and have them pull on their hands. Everybody try that if you want. Put your hands right here in front of you and then just lightly engage that and pull, and you should feel your underarms or right underneath like a bra strap go right there. And it's just that spot, and we are training those intercostal muscles to just stand up and just stay there the whole time, right? Because I need the belly to be fat and skinny. This is how I talk about it. When you breathe in, get fat, and when you sing, be skinny. Just fat and skinny, fat and skinny, fat and skinny. And I try to keep it that simple because talking about breathing is the third rail, and it can just tie us in knots, right? It can tie our students in knots like, I don't even know how to move anymore. I do think it's really important in our warm-ups to wake it up, to make it part of that process. I have a little pet project. If I could get every conductor to stop doing this for their prep, if I could stop them going, if I could get them to go and go down rather than up, I find it encourages the belly to let go and be fat. The up thing I find makes my choir students go and suck in their belly and raise their sternum rather than letting this be here and letting the belly be fat and going. And I have plenty of extra weight down there. I'm always showing my students my belly. Here is my favorite breathing mythology. These make me laugh. And I used to say them, so I'm not judging them because it was what I knew then, and I know better now, and so I don't say them now. Sing from or breathe into your diaphragm. Breathe into your belly or fill your belly with air. Sometimes I use this as an image, and I tell them it's not scientific. Air didn't go there, but we think of that, yes. The air controls the tone. No, tone controls the air. We'll do that in a second. Tone rides on the air. No. Oh my gosh, this one's just vocal mythology. Imagine a golf ball dipped in mayonnaise, sitting in your mouth while singing through the cathedral like unicorn horn, shooting out of your forehead and vibrate your mask, nose, and hard palate. Don't laugh. You laugh, but you know some director's been like, you need to aim the sound, you need to point, and it's got this unicorn horn. I know because I used to say it. It was me. Hi, my name's Jason, and I know better now, and I do judge myself, but I shouldn't judge myself for what I used to do, right? Let's start with the diaphragm. Y'all, it's like the stork. The stork does not bring babies, and the diaphragm does not control the singing. Tell those kids the truth, right? The diaphragm is an involuntary muscle. You cannot control it. And also, when it works, is on the inhale. It pushes all your bag of guts down here out of the way so your lungs can inflate. The work of the diaphragm is involuntary and down. While I'm singing, it's just going back into its resting position. So then our question is, well, what is pushing? Because something needs to push, and it's the abs. It's the belly. And that's the only thing we got wrong. So it's like the push is right, but I just want to talk about it in the right way, right? Let's do a quick thing. The whole thing about the air and the tone and what I'll show you what I mean. Everybody, you can be muted. It's okay. Live your private lives. We're going to sing this note. And we're going to sing it in a loud way. We're going to take a normal breath, a normal singing breath, and we're going to go, ah, in that kind of loud tone. And see how long you can hold it. Here we go. I'm going to do mine. It's going to be annoying. Here we go. Fine. I mean, I could go longer. And it's not a pretty tone, but that's a chesty tone, and I could make it pretty, but we're showing function right now. Now take the same breath and sing it in head. Here we go, and see how long it lasts. Same breath. And I'm done. Did I forget how to breathe? Did you forget how to breathe? No, we took the same amount of air in. The sound we make controls how much air is leaving. The vocal folds don't hold together as long in head register. Air is escaping, and that's okay. That's what they do, right? The vocal folds hold together a really long time in chest register or for a pressed tone, right? And so we can last longer. And it's really good to put that idea in our students' head, like, oh, I just didn't take a good enough breath. Well, like, maybe, take a better breath, but also, you're singing a breathy sound right now, and maybe that's just what it is, so, like, take more breaths. That's okay. That's all that I mean about the air controls the tone. No, actually, the tone controls the amount of air leaving, right, in that way. The amount of air pressure underneath is about loud and soft, but anyway. All right, I'm moving on, but I realize some of this could be unclear or fast, so don't be afraid to, at the end, be like, okay, Jason, I think you're full of stuff and the nonsense, and go back and explain this, so don't be afraid. We have to avoid vocal mythology. Okay, now we're going to pick a warm-up for our choir. We're done with vocal science. Yay! We have to talk about what can we control in the voice. The only three things you actually can control are the pitch, like what notes, the volume, and the vowel. That's it, and they feed each other. That's the only things I can control. Then we have to think about what do I want to get out of this warm-up, right? What do I want to elicit? So let's talk about what the warm-ups do. Warm-ups either relax something, or they strengthen something, or they move something around and make it more flexible. So we can control the pitch, volume, and vowel, and we can either relax, strengthen, or make it flexible. Here is a fun little possible path that you might take for your warm-ups. Let's say my students come in and they're cold and they haven't sung today. So first, I'm going to just run the machine, and that's what we did. Right? Just get them singing up a little bit, down a little bit, run the machine. Then I think, okay, well, let's hear a little head. And here's a little cheat sheet of how to pick some head register or falsetto. And the voice scientists tell us that head and falsetto are the exact same thing functionally. Head register in a female and falsetto in a man are just two different terms for the same function, right? Head register loves closed vowels. It loves oo and e. It loves a soft dynamic. It's light. It loves small slides or scales or even single notes. So if I want to, okay, let's all hear some head register. The large larynx, the bass baritone tenor guys are gonna, tenor singers are gonna go up and be here with the ladies. I don't talk there every day at all, and so that spot is gonna be a little bit stickier because I talk down here every day. So I just have to live up there. I have to live up there a little bit every day just to unstick it because it needs to be healthy. All right, so I did some head. Let's do some chest. Chest loves open vowels like ah and o. It's lower, it's louder, it's heavier. These are just descriptive words. You could use slow or fast, small intervals. We did ah, 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 ah. We could ah. We could ah. We could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could I want to make up words. I want to go home today. I'm in chest. Ah, ah. And girls and boys need this, and high and low need this, and every style needs this. This is not about style. Every professional voice or usable voice needs this. Okay, so we did some chest, and then let's do some mix. Mix loves an A vowel, like a cat, like a medium vowel. It's a medium dynamic. It loves bright. Go across the break, right? Slides are so good for this. It's so funny, we don't want slides in our music, but they are like ironing out all of the problems in the throat. So we should use them every day with our warm-ups and with our choirs and with ourselves, knowing that we're not gonna sing, like, ooh, na, furti. I'm gonna like try to connect that with a little bitty portamento, but not ooh, na, for, but they're great for the throat. I go across the break. I let it switch. I move the mouth. Glog, 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 glog. My family can tell you that they hear this all the time from me before I warm up in the morning. Before I teach, I try to get there. Glog, 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 glog. Just move it, right? Go across. Nya, 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 meow, 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 meow. It does not matter what you do as long as you do it. So we've done some mix. Then maybe breathing is here. Maybe in your recipe, breathing is first. Fine, breathe first. Do, whatever. Mix this up. It's just a possible path. And then run the machine again. See how it went. Or I want to slightly change the machine run and go slides. Fine. So far you're wondering like, Jason, that's great, but you work in musical theater and y'all sing bright all the time. We don't, but we do a lot. And we work in choir, and I don't want them to make those sounds. So what's the deal? The deal is this is the way the human voice works, and we got to get there first and then go to the style. Then you go to the style. One of the all-region pieces up here this year is a piece that I played for Rachel last year, is Nish Cabana. And I love that song when it's sung in like a right? In a really bright style. If you're going to go work on that song, aim your choir that way. If I'm going to go work on some motet, I'm going to aim us in a very different way. Pick a warm-up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to aim a different way, and that's totally appropriate. Just first get the machine working before you go there, right? It's that difference of, again, I was told that's your voice, that's normal, that's neutral, and that's not. That's a style. And it's totally good, but it's just a style over here. Let's find you first, right? Okay. And then you're warm. There's my path. Okay. We're doing okay. Oh, yeah, we're doing all right. I know I'm talking too fast, but I want to get to questions, and I'm trying not to be confusing and all those good things. Okay, I had to look this up because I knew one of the fast foods was have it your way. But it's like Burger King, have it your way. The point is, the warm-up doesn't matter. Do any warm-up you like, but know why, right? So many vocal pedagogy programs or even choir directors or voice teachers or whatever will give out like, here are my warm-ups. Here's my list of exercises. No! You can I can make my choirs go, ah, only. And I can make them do that in 1,000 different ways. In head, in chest, in bright, in dark, in loud and soft, in staccato and legato. I can use one exercise and get everything done. The exercise is not magic. It's what you want to do with it, right? So, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to have them sing in head. So get up there. Make up a new one that day. It also keeps it fresh for them. So they know, like... Like the warm-up you always do, like, well, they may be bored of that one. Make them do a new one, challenge their mind. And obviously, we're always using different musicality or different dynamic ranges to engage their brains in different ways during that, right? Okay, here are my random extras. I use straws all the time. Here's a tube. This is car vacuum hosing that I buy online in very long pieces, and I cut it into 6-inch pieces. It's good because you can stick one of these in every student's folder, and it's got a little diameter in the middle, like a 3mm diameter, and a bigger place where my teeth can go over, and it's a semi-occluded vocal tract exercise, SOVTE. They're all the rage, but they're not new at all. We've been using them for hundreds of years. So you can hum through that. In the classroom, and that's why I said, like, this may not be the best COVID exercise. Fine. I understand that. In a regular classroom, I might put my hand over it. You put some resistance on the throat. It's kind of like putting weights on your bat or ankle weights on, and then when you take those off, you're like, oh my gosh. There are all kinds of SOVTE, semi-occluded, partially blocked. Humming, NG, I have CPR masks that I use with my voice students. I feel so much better after a little bit of resistance there. I have regular straws. I have coffee stir straws. Different levels of resistance. I also, got some fuzz on me. I also use the straw under the tongue. This is a big one to stretch out the tongue. And I realize different ages are not ready for this, and that's fine. In a private lesson, I have my little kids do it, but it's a one-on-one. You can stretch your tongue. You can put it over here and go, It's going to move and shake around, but it's stretching all this stuff in here, which needs a little bit of love. I sometimes will have a massage in here. Just a little left and right, not on the voice box, but on the tongue. And I'm just talking to it like, hey, y'all, be like butter. Be like butter. And then move it around. Glog, 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 glog. That's my straws. The next is, oh, I love this one. The next is mouth shape. I always hear directors talking about, and I've said it before, we all have to have the same mouth shape to make the same sound. But that's not really right because our bodies are different. So we have to use our ears. And the better way to get at blend, and we kind of talked about this before, was the better way to get at blend is through registration. Make sure everyone's singing in the same register. I can take 5 guys and 5 girls of different ages, have them all sing in the exact same register in the same type of mix or the same head or chest, and that I get a blend there. And their mouths are all going to look different because they're different human bodies. For my mouth to go ooh, for my voice to sound like ooh, someone else might have ooh, they might have a more open mouth. Someone else might have a more closed mouth. It's kind of an older school idea about it, and it's not wrong completely. Like, yes, shape and ooh, but the better way to go about it is like listen to it. These are just random. I use corks all the time, and again, I understand you might not want a bunch of corks floating around in your classroom. So a knuckle is just like a cork. Biting on a cork, just holding it in your mouth. You can do that with your knuckle. We all have those students who don't want to open their mouth when they sing. You're like, open your mouth. They're like, sure. Okay, good. How about open your mouth? Okay. Even if they think they're doing it, great. Prop that thing open. Use your two fingers here. Also, engaging there releases all these muscles, so it gets a chance to work better. And I have all sizes of corks on my hand. In my studio, I give my voice students a whole baggie of this stuff. I have little bitty corks and medium corks and all kinds of stuff. You can find them at craft stores and whatnot. The soft palate, this one's funny to me. The soft palate is, it's so hard to control, and the best way to control it is with the cheeks. And so you got to have them smile first. And the problem is, but I don't want a bright sound. Me neither. Not in choir. But first you got to have them smile to control that soft palate, and then teach them how to leave that there, and then make a dark sound with that still lifted. I see. So, pause. Another way to think about it is the roof of the mouth going up is a really great way for that. And you can relate it to like, hey, how you doing? Hi, right? It's hard to control those, so we got to control them first with our cheek muscles. I was often told like, make this shape. Now raise your soft palate, and like, well, your body can't physically do that, right? Raise your soft palate. Like it won't do that. It can't. So go here first. And think up, and then let this shape the vowel below it. I hope that makes sense. I'm going so fast. I love this one. I totally stole this from Rachel. I think she's genius. She gets her classroom attention with different claps and different things and different whatever. Use different vocal function to do it. Use a head register. And have them repeat it, right? And after you get their attention, maybe they hear the higher better, good. Then go and elicit some chest function, right? How about nya nya nya, nya nya nya, right? Try different functions as you're getting your classroom attention to move on to the next thing. I realize that's probably with younger kids. We don't do that a lot with older, but I don't know, it was a random thought. The last thing I'll say is, I learned all of this through my own research, singing and teaching, but also there's this thing called somatic voice work, and actually Rachel went through level 1 last summer, and she can speak to how she's used it in her choral classroom this year. The woman's name is Jeannie Lavetrie, and it's all based in voice science, and then she developed her method, but it's not a method. It's literally just like, here's how to teach. It resonates so beautifully with me because it's based in compassion. It's based in knowledge. It's based in accepting what we have in that moment, being grateful for what we have. It's based in high standards of singing. It's based in respecting all styles. There are 3 levels to it. The level 1 is basic application. Level 2 is kind of what I gave you today, how to build a warm-up, how to build a thing. And level 3 goes into vocal health and pathologies. It's typically a 9-day, 3 days per level, 9 days in the summer, in the last week of July, in Cleveland. Right now it's online because here we are, and they're doing a level 1 in January. So if you're interested in that, they're doing an online over Martin Luther King weekend, 3 days, level 1 with COVID discounts because you're not flying anywhere and not staying anywhere. So go look that up. Somatic voice work, the Lavetrie method, and you can use it for professional development stuff. They even offer speech-language pathologist credit in college. And the last thing is, please stay in touch with me. I want to be in your lives. I want you to use me and abuse me. When we are traveling again, have me come to your classroom. In Zoom, have me Zoom in. I'll listen, I'll teach, I'll jabber, I'll talk, I'll do whatever you want. It's part of being a university professor, and I absolutely love that. So don't be shy. Just be like, Jason, you talk to me at this thing. Come to my classroom, do this thing. Absolutely. The answer is yes. So that's what I got. And I think it actually worked. How do I stop that? Okay. So what about some questions? We got 10 minutes, I think. I'm happy with, there's 32 things in the chat. Should I even open the chat right now? Is it terrifying? Is that where the questions are? Or people want to, I'm going over here.
I don't know if you talked about this, Jason, but some people were talking about the comparison to athletics and warming up and making that their connection to students.
Yeah. Let's see. That's a good question about time warming up. From Corey, there's not a specific answer for that. Me personally, vocally, it changes day to day. Some days I just need 5 minutes. Some days I need 15 if I'm really phlegmy or really whatever. I think the best we can ask in a choral situation is like, just do it. Spend some time, like at least 3 to 5 minutes at the beginning. One day, if you really want to hone in on some voice pedagogy, go for the 10 minutes. And it looks like Lashina says that she does 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, I think that's right. Teen athletes think warming up before a game is lame. They probably do. I don't care. My 7th and 8th grade choir used a variation of Baby Shark. Love it. Bad thing was they couldn't stop giggling. Okay, that happens. It doesn't mean they're not getting better while giggling, I guess, you know? And then I think to everything there is a season. Yeah, all right, giggle time. Let's giggle. And then like go away from giggle time into another time. I think that's all right. I have them submitting warm-up video logs, and some submit 30 seconds and other 12-minute long videos. That happens. Let's see. I lie and tell my students people pay money to get a voice lesson like this. That's not a lie. I do teach. Molly, you know, where are you, Molly? I don't even see you. Molly's one of my voice students. A voice lesson from you. Yes, you should be charging them too. It's true. You're giving them a voice lesson. What other questions do we have? You can unmute and ask me. You can put them in the chat. To clarify anything, I don't know.
How do you explain the feeling of having a mixed voice? Because that was a newer concept to me in the past few years. It seems like that's become more talked about than previously.
I think that's an amazing question. It is our responsibility as the teacher to elicit the function from the student. So we have to get them to do it, and then we have to label it for them to go, there that is, that's mix. And they go, okay, that's mix, right? And we go, yes, that's head. And I'm so like, you sing it, now you sing it. Now, they know they're always going to be in the hot seat. Let me hear that sound, let me hear that. Yeah, you, okay, now everybody again. Right, so I'll hear individual voices, and so it's our job to go like, no, that was head, that wasn't mixed, that was chest. Oh, that was mixed. Yeah, that's it. So we're telling them when it is, so they can put the pin in the map in their lost sea of voice land, which I totally know how that feels, and start to tie those together. Right. The thing about feeling is we can't teach singing on feeling. Everybody's body is different. It's an old school idea. We're like resonate the voice. Well, you don't resonate a piano. Every sound we make has resonance. And resonance, you have to have a certain type of resonance to sing classical music, not for microphone music. It would be wrong. But resonance is a byproduct. The feeling is a byproduct. So I always tell my students, they're like, oh, I feel that more here. I'm like, oh, good, that's fine. You're allowed. But I can't tell a student, oh, you have to feel that in your nose. You have to feel that in your throat. You have to feel that here. Because their body is different than mine, and they feel it wherever they feel it. Combination of it. Did that help at all? I mean, be honest with me. I can take it back. Be like, no, that didn't help. Answer the question again.
Well, so I'm going to look a 14-year-old in the face and say, a mixed voice is when you are not all the way in your head, or because I can't not say head voice and chest voice because I'm old and I don't change.
Oh no, you should say head voice and chest voice. I say them all the time too. No, that's what we should use because they're the industry standard. You're right. You should tell them like there's a mixed. It is not all head and not all chest, and then demonstrating, and then having them and talking is so great, right? Hey. Let go, chest, right? Oh my God, it's so good to see you. That's head. Like, hey, everybody, how we doing? Like, there's a mix, right? And there's all this gray area of mix. I can go a little bit chestier and a little bit lighter, and demonstrating those sounds and having them talk through it, I find is a nice way to do it because oftentimes we do use these sounds in our everyday life. We just don't know how to apply them to singing, right? Did that help at all? Don't lie to me. Tell me, like, Jason, it didn't make sense.
I can't fake things.
There we go. But who else? Give it to me.
I have a question. Yeah. If we don't tell them, like you said, not to tell them to breathe from their diaphragm, what do we say?
That's a really great question.
Like,
I think you go through very quickly. Oh, sorry.
Got confused during that part.
Yes. I think you have to go through really quickly. I'm going to stand up. It's a really bad camera angle for me, but we're all friends. I think you have to go through really quickly a little bit of anatomy that just remember, everybody, your lungs are up here. and the diaphragm is below it, and then you have guts. And when you breathe in, the diaphragm is going to work, and it pushes down your guts so that your lungs can expand. And then when you sing, and I put a hand down here, ooh, ooh, there we go. When you sing, it's fat skinny, right? I have fat when I breathe in, I go, and then I'm skinny when I sing. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Did that help at all?
Yes.
So it is a push from there. It's just your abdominals, right? And I put a hand down there just to be able to watch, and I can see everyone's hand because I ain't touching nobody, right? I'm not touching my students. I don't want to see their hands like, Sometimes I'll have them put hands up here so I can see if they're going, oh, what a, I'm like, oh, keep your hands up, keep those ribs up, all kinds of different measuring sticks for that, right? The diaphragm works on the inhale, and then it relaxes on the exhale, on the singing. Oh, what a beautiful, it's so different than what we were taught, right? And it's so different than what I used to teach. I just didn't know, and now I know. Did that answer your question, Dana?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Jason, I want to let you know we need to wrap up in about 2 minutes, okay?
Great, cool. Any last minute thing? I think y'all are amazing. I have such respect for what you're doing. Please let me know if I can ever help or, in any way be there and whatever. So email me. You can find my email address on the university website. I'm going to send my Google Slides, my PowerPoint to Terry, and it'll be sent out. So you'll have my email address there and all the info. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here.
All right, thank you, Jason, so much for sharing with us. Great information, great information. Folks, I hope you found something in that you can use in your classroom. I did.